I was a real estate developer, and obviously the greatest project that I've ever been involved in was the Miami project with Maurice A, who is clearly the greatest man that I've ever known.
The commission told City Manager Grassi to draw up a final contract, which each commissioner will review sometime next week. If there are no objections, the construction and lease agreement will be signed.
This would give us the opportunity to proceed with the finalization of the entire complex, the convention center, conference center, and our hotel.
There was an engineer that I'd done some business with. He said, I just got back from Miami, and look at this, and he showed me a picture of the Miami Herald. The Miami Herald had a picture of Maurice A on the front cover, and it had a picture of A.N. Pritzker, who was the founder and the owner of Hyatt. And kind of headlines were that the Pritzkers and the Hyatt had turned down Miami to build a hotel.
Put it out for bids, advertise in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, wait 30 days, and see if anybody else would come in that would better this. If nobody else does, then I think we just go back to Mr. Pritzker with our hat in our hand and hopefully work something out with him at that time.
And he said, you know, Earl, I was in Miami when this came out, and I brought it back, and I met Maurice A, and he said, he's dynamic.
You'd be very happy in this community, and your people would find a community where not only do we have great beaches and public facilities, parks, golf courses, tennis courses, the cultural activities in this town, great university, University of Miami, FIU. I think it's a well-rounded, family-oriented type of a community. And in addition to that, I think the tax situation in Florida is very propitious for business. We have no income tax, there's no inheritance tax, and the sales tax is 5%, which is lower than most of the major states in the nation.
So we got on a plane, we flew down to Miami, made arrangements to meet Maurice. He says, I want to show you what we have in mind for the city. We drove to downtown Miami, and I'm looking out the window and I'm seeing people sleeping in the streets. The place was dead.
I think in the simplest terms, the city's putting in $5 million, really. And we're going to get a $50 million investment, which we're going to tax, most of it. And I think it's going to have a tremendous multiplier effect in inducing other private sector investors to come in and build in Miami. So probably one of the best deals that the city of Miami's ever made.
I said, well, what are you going to do about this? And he said, I have a vision. And he said, we're going to have the state-of-the-art conference convention center of the whole world.
The project is to be called the City of Miami Convention Center, University of Miami James L. Knight Center. It includes a 607-room luxury hotel and is being co-developed by real estate firms based in Atlanta and Chicago.
And he said, you're going to build a hotel because we have to have a hotel. He said, if you can build in Knoxville, build Hyatt, you can bring the Pritzkers and Hyatt here.
Although the Miami River has been the dramatic focal point of the city of Miami throughout its history, it has never witnessed a more far-reaching event than today's construction inaugural of the Miami Center.
He said, Earl, draw a straight line due south from where you're standing right now. Where will you be? I said, well, what, Brazil maybe? He said, no. He says, you're hitting the water. He says, the whole continent of South America is to the east. He said, we're going to build a facility and they will come. And I was totally mesmerized with his vision.
The $60 million Miami bond issue is the largest amount ever guaranteed by the Mortgage Bond Insurance Association. It will be financed entirely from revenue derived from the convention center, the Hyatt Hotel, and the World Trade Center, all located in the complex, along with a 1,500-car parking garage.
And I knew a little bit about public-private joint ventures because I had done several of them. If you work closely with a city or community, and if they get behind of what you're doing, you can do wonders. So I called Mr. Pritzker. He not only said no, he said hell no, and a few other things too. He said, no way, Earl. He says, you can't have a hotel in Miami. There's a history, but it goes back to 1927. Haven't done anything since 1927. So I called Maurice on the phone and said, I've got an idea I want to talk with you about how a public-private joint venture for Miami might work. So I got on a plane and flew down and met Maurice at the Sheraton Four Ambassadors Hotel. I said, you see that big book on the table, the coffee table? It says Miami, about that big. He said, yeah. I said, take that book, and you see this Coca-Cola bottle over here? I'd arranged it. And he said, yes. I said, take that Coca-Cola bottle, stick it on top of the book. He did that. And I said, okay, the idea for this hotel and your conference convention center is right there. He says, what do you mean? Your book is the convention center, and this Coca-Cola is sitting up here. These are the hotel rooms, and I'll pay for that. You pay for what's down below, and then I'll rent the space from you for the front of the house and for the back of the house. And you'll own this part, and I'll own this part. He says, I see. You know, that could be done. And I said, I think I can lower my cost to where I can even maybe interest Hyatt. So he said, that's a deal.
There are 248 separate documents involved in the deal. The most complicated one ever negotiated by Smith, Barney, Harris, and Upham, according to its senior VP, Balika. The total cost of the project is $185 million. It's scheduled to be completed by the end of next year.
I'm delighted to be here today and participate in it. I have a new objective, and that's to be around when the facility goes into operation.
This is the first time in the history of our great country that a public-private joint venture of this complexity, involving a major university, a major city, and a private development group, have joined together to produce a structure serving the individual needs of these seemingly diverse interests.
I've done a number of projects with cities on public-private joint ventures, and always we're dealing with mayors and politicians, and never have I even encountered anyone close to Maurice Ferré as far as leadership is concerned and as far as the ability to be able to get things done.
It is a solid venture with solid backing and another indication of the soundness of Miami's economy and this area's future. Good night. May the good news be yours.